Welcome to Politically Crowded. It's me, Tony Haslage. I'm lame, I know, shoot me now. Okay. Today's topic, yeah, thanks for the sneeze there. Well, edit that out, make it sound like something like more, funny. Okay. Today's is the anime part 2. Basically, the guy sitting to my left here said that the show we did before was the cut.
Yeah, it's the cut, right?
Yeah. We have to do another.
Politically correct. The cut's used only when you like a song.
I'm sorry.
It was a take.
It was the take, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cut's like if it was a good song, like a George Thorogood song or something, you might say that's the cut.
Okay. Now, to my left is Ray Torres, founder of the Anime Society.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Whoa, everyone. How's it going?
Yeah, the audience is really loud today.
Hey, come on, keep it up, everybody.
To my right is Jeremy Hudgens. He has a very long title, and he might just tell you it because I don't know.
I am promotions of Duck Radio. I'm also PR for Anime and Radio Club.
Okay. Now, I just said the topic is anime, so we're going to start off with the first topic, mainly because Ray didn't know it existed, apparently. American anime. Now, Warner Brothers had a series called Teen Titans created. Basically, Americanized animation based on American characters. If anybody's ever seen the episodes, which run at, I think, 6:30 Eastern Time on Cartoon Network, it is the story of the Teen Titans during their early years. It's a little off from the comic book, but the comic book members that eventually end up in the original team do appear on the show. Aqualad and Terra, for example.
Right, I remember those characters.
Now, if you've ever seen an anime, comparingly, anime takes emotion a little further. So when they're embarrassed, they'll land on their side. If they're angry, a little vein will pop out of their head. Something you wouldn't see.
So it has kind of overtures of anime in it.
Yes, exactly. The eyes get a little squinty when they're angry or something. The heads get really huge when they're screaming. Yeah, that's in there. And Ray's never seen it. So,
No,
have you seen X-Men Evolution?
No, I haven't.
X-Men Evolution wasn't anime-like. I don't think
But
so.
see, I was talking...
Well, it was drawn anime stylish.
Right, I was talking to Anthony about that not too long ago in Student Life about as anime becomes more and more mainstream, eventually here in America,
They're going to be
we're going to start making it mainstream itself. For example, like in the convention scene, you see there are hundreds, literally hundreds of artists that could draw, and many of them do their own mangas, and some are even starting to do little computer animations of like little snippets using anime-like characters or actual known anime characters. But I was telling Anthony that it's just a matter of time that we're going to see an anime produced here in the United States. And we're going to see mangas. Now, there are already some mangas out there, like from Fred Perry, like Gold Digger and things of that sort.
And soon to be Jeremy Hudgens. Hint, hint.
Ooh. Well,
it's almost done, Ray.
Oh, okay. Now, who's doing the artwork?
We don't know yet. That's why I'm looking at all
right.
artists.
And now
it's probably going to be people from the club, though.
When you have people like Radio Comics, Ellen Winkler, and other people like that are producing their own mangas, it's just a matter of time that something is going to become, the anime is going to start getting produced here in the United States. And right there, you're saying that look at this, the Teen Titans. That I remember collecting those comics. I have a lot of comics when Terra first came in the scene and when she died in '84. It's awesome to think that here was something made by DC and is being produced over there in Japan. But then again, Kill Bill, the first volume, had an anime scene where Quentin Tarantino actually went out and hired Production IG to do the segment of Lucy Liu's character. Renishi, and her origin. And then I understand that Linkin Park is doing a music video that's being produced over there in Japan.
Well, that brings up another good point, Ray, is that there's been a lot, maybe like the last 2 years or something, there was a lot of music videos that had anime in them. The Gorillaz had one. But there's a couple. There's a couple more too. I can't remember them right off the top of my head.
Did they actually show clips from anime, or did
no?
they
It's something that somebody they hired somebody.
Okay, well, now that's interesting because that goes to show what I've been trying to say here at LCC all along. Anime is not just cartoons. It's not just for little kids. It's not like when we were growing up, Tony, that we had our little cartoons that we would watch either before we go to school or after school, and Mom's preparing dinner. We would watch something.
Whoa. See, when I was growing up, TV was in color. When you were growing up, TV was in black and white.
Color TV was around when I was little. I used to watch. I know that like in the late '60s, when I began to first see what TV was, a lot of the programming was in black and white, but still, I grew up with Speed Racer. That was in color, and Kimbo the White Lion.
And mine were Transformers and Speed
Voltron,
Racer, Voltron, yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, I can't.
Oh man, those were
G.I.
nice
Joe
shows.
just come out a little bit afterwards, and I for some reason I started watching Gem. Go figure. Maybe I was starting to get an interest in girls, but anyway.
But see, what I'm saying is that a lot of people here, when they think of the anime society and they think of what we watch, they think that what we're watching is for adolescents or for even younger crowd. They don't see that many of the storylines that we do watch are suitable for college age and beyond. And
they deal with real life. I mean, you got the comedy, but you also got the real life stuff too.
And also, there's a lot of things you can relate to. The interesting things out there. Right now, we're watching Full Metal Alchemist, and the thing that as I was watching that, it cracks me up because there's a character. He's like 15 years old. He's the older brother, and he's small, and they're always picking on him because of his size. I said, and he has a temper too. He's a tough little cookie. And I says, man, you know, they would have turned that guy into a female and would have called that character Mariah. It would have been perfect. Because remember how we used to always tease her out of love, you know, all of us.
Well, explain who she is for the people who don't know.
Well, she was the former president of the radio club. In fact, she's on Kent State University now, going for her bachelor's in communications. And Mariah was small in stature. She was
small. She is small.
She's probably like about maybe 5 feet even, if even that. And but she had a heart of gold, and this kid was bigger than Godzilla as far as her heart was concerned. But so we all out of love, all of us classmates and stuff, we would always tease her about her height. And she would just look at us with those big eyes, like you don't know if she was going to get mad at you or she was going to laugh at you. And it's just as I see this Full Metal Alchemist and I see this character and how he gets mad when they tease him about his height. And it's always happening wherever he goes, he gets teased about his height. It just reminds me of her. I was just saying, it's a pity the character wasn't female and they would have named the character Mariah. Would have been perfect.
Alrighty. Did you ever ask your wife to record Teen Titans for you?
My wife was supposed to record it and forgot to record it. But I'm going to tell her to record tonight because I want to see it. I do like the Teen Titans.
Play the smackdown.
The Teen Titans, look at this guy. He thinks we're living in the caveman times. Don't you believe in chivalry?
I'm joking. I love you, sis.
I know. I like the Teen Titans. I have enjoyed them, especially the earlier ones, where you had Kid Flash, you had Starfire, you had Raven, Cyborg.
Scott Levy?
No, not Scott Levy. No.
That's another topic.
Did you ever read how the group broke up originally? It was during the wedding of Starfire and Robin.
Wow, look at that. Well, see, that was now.
Raven was in love with Robin, and during the whole time, of course, she wouldn't let her emotions show.
But she was always
her and Starfire get into a big fight.
Oh, that would be crazy.
It ruined the wedding, and it's basically the end of the Titans.
Oh man, I have to see what issue was that. I have to see about finding that one.
I don't know. It was just when I went through
Starfire's name.
Go to the DC Comics website, and I'll explain it.
Okay.
Starfire's name is like different.
Coriander.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah. Okay, but that was her name there. Did you remember seeing the ones where her sister came in and had kidnapped her and tried to torment her and everything?
No, the episode with her sister, she comes in, she frames Starfire for theft, and then takes the Titans and leaves Starfire all alone so Starfire could be captured by the Galaxy's police department, whatever, in place of herself.
Now, this is the manga? I mean, this is the animated? Because I'm going by the comic book.
Yeah, well, the only time they ever showed her was that, and basically the Titans realized that they were that her sister was trying to frame Starfire, and so they, once they originally fought the bad guys thinking they were trying to, they had no reason, they were just attacking Starfire, but find out that Starfire's sister is a bad guy. So they eventually fix it, make friends with the police officers, get Starfire's sister arrested. And the last thing she says is that she'll give her back. So she's going to come back eventually. Now, as far as Terra goes, Terra was introduced being attacked by Slade.
Is her name.
Yeah. She was under attack by Slade. She hadn't had control of her powers yet. And by the end of the show, her and Raven just really could not get along.
She hated Raven in the comics.
So she left, and then 6 months later she comes back in a whole nother episode.
Slade, is that the exterminator?
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, they used to call him originally the Terminator before the Schwarzenegger movies came out, and they had to change his name to the Exterminator. He was like a Vietnam vet, and he had like this real high speed. His reflexes were real fast, and like he had a patch in his eye. He had like a blonde goatee. Is that kind of fit?
Well, what he has now is a full body
Slade
armor.
Wilson is his name, I think, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Full body armor, black and gray. He's weird. Only one eye. So basically,
him and Tara are supposed to have an affair.
Well, I don't think the Teen Titans are going to get into something like that.
Well, maybe in the anime it won't, but
next
it did in the
episode comes
comics.
along. Tara comes back. She knows how to control her powers. Again, Slade is in the scene, which makes it seem really coincidental. And her and Raven, finally make amends. They save Titan's Tower, but and then they allow her to join the Titans.
Wait.
But it leaves a big old hole because you're going, well, what the hell?
They saved Titan Tower?
Yeah, it was about to be destroyed. And because Slade had...
Inside joke.
Yeah, Slade wanted to
I know what you're talking
destroy it from underground.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody got all happy, but one of the last things Tara says before the show goes to black is, they finally let me join.
But you know what? I'm telling you right now, Anthony, I will make a prediction, and then we'll get back into the anime, but my prediction is going to be this: Tara is going to turn on them, because that is what happened in the comics.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds
She was
she's
like
working
real
for Slade.
young. She had like buck teeth. She had blonde hair. She didn't know how to really control her powers, and it looked like the Exterminator. In this case, let's refer to him as Slade. Slade was like after her, and the Titans had to fight him off, and then they didn't know what to do with her, and they finally made her a Titan. And then it's like she's kind of has these secret rendezvous, and you don't know who they are. And then later on in the comics, you find out that it's Slade Wilson that she was seeing all along. Who Slade happens to be the father of Jericho, not Chris Jericho. Jericho, okay, who's supposed to be deaf, and he can't speak, but he has special
Deaf
powers.
and dumb.
And Ray dropped his mic.
It's okay.
Anyways,
On that note,
yeah. So that was the best show of the day for those 3 seconds when he dropped his mic. Yay. Okay, now I'm poking fun at Ray. Okay, maybe I'm just bitter because he got a girl. Okay.
Wow.
okay.
I'll be exiting stage left.
Anyways, well, this is the last regular episode, so I'm kind of like...
Just zinging them, huh?
Yeah. Anyways, we'll take a commercial break on that note. When we come back, more anime things. I think we'll go into subs and dubs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so that sounds good. So we'll be back in a few, and stay tuned. We're back, and we're gonna open up with subs and dubs. So now, subs are we talking fan subs or
No.
company
Subtitles, like when I say subs versus dubs, when I told you subs versus dub, meaning that it's in raw Japanese with subtitles at the bottom that's produced by, let's say, Pioneer or something. That's not totally a fan sub.
Okay, we're talking a company actually.
The company actually.
And a company like probably here in North America would get
Funimation's a big one. Pioneer, ADV.
ADV Films, right? Central
who
Park
else?
Media,
Yes.
and Amigo.
Amigo.
There's a few others. That what they do is they get the rights to these films and they bring them here. They have them translated. They try to keep them as close to the original.
Now they
scripts.
do.
Yeah, they
used to not to.
Well, yeah, that was in the early days of anime. Hang on a second. This is not working.
From what I understand, a lot of them changed the basic stories mainly for our culture. Because like Funimation early on, Dragon Ball Z, they would reword the entire script for the episodes.
That's what happened with Star Blazers. The same exact thing. They rewrote the story to fit here. But what's happening, what they've discovered, was when they started dubbing the films.
It wasn't matching, right?
Well, it wasn't only that. It wasn't working out for them because the people really loved the way the Japanese actors were performing. They realized that the only way we're going to be able to appreciate anime is to really see it for what it is. And many times these creators have a vision, a storyline that they build up. And what had happened was that in the beginning, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe even going a little bit into the 90s, we felt that, these guys can't write all that well. So we started rewriting all their stories, and then we started dubbing them. Well, even with subtitles, they were slightly being changed. And so people that knew the Japanese, because there are anime fans who learn Japanese, would watch these subtitles and would say, well, wait a minute, that's not what they're saying. So they were getting a lot of complaints, and they started keeping it more truer to the
Keeping it real.
But then what they were attempting to do was they wanted to make dubs in the early 90s. And I remember the mistake that they made back in those days, and I've talked to people like Tiffany Grant, who was in that pioneering stage. She is a voice actress. And she was at that pioneering stage. What they did was they would release an anime in Japanese with the English subtitles, and you would watch them. You would get used to these characters. You would get used to how they sound. Now all of a sudden you go to a convention and they play an English dub of it. Many of the actors that they had hired at that time were people like, if I go around hiring people off the campus that maybe have no experience whatsoever in acting, and it showed. Now here you have, that's kind of like, you get somebody like a popular rock star that everybody knows that their singing style, and then you get one of these garage bands to try to do a cover tune of that, and the garage band really never played nowhere.
Except for in a garage.
Exactly, and that's the difference of between the Japanese actor acting in subtitles and the one doing it in English. And so there was a lot of people that decided they didn't want nothing to do with dubs.
Yeah.
To this day, there are those that will not buy a dub simply because it's a dub.
Or they'll buy the DVD and watch it in subtitles.
And it was because of that. Now, of course, the English acting has gotten better.
Most definitely.
Many of the actors are trying to learn Japanese or trying to learn the culture, and they would pay attention to how things were enunciated, how things were being said, and then they add it to their own flavor as to how they've been taught. So it has improved dramatically. I like voice actors such as Amanda Wynn Lee, such as Tiffany Grant. These are people that they do a good job.
Alive.
They do a good job. Scott McNeil's another good one.
Yeah, Richard Cox.
Yeah, he does a real good job.
He's very good. Scott McNeil.
Scott McNeil, Jillian Michaels, and so is Monica Rial, Greg Ayers.
Monica Rial, Greg Ayers. They're very cool people.
And they want to do a good job because they figure that if we don't do a good job, Anthony, you won't buy our tapes. Or you won't buy our DVDs. And if you buy the DVDs, you're only going to listen to the subtitle.
Okay. Now, on the internet, you can download fan subs, which are basically, I assume, because I've never gotten any myself, episodes, but with subtitles created by fans.
Exactly.
Precisely. What it is that these particular videos have not yet been released in the United States. They will be in due time.
They will be, yes.
But for the time being, somebody got their hands on these series as they're playing them in Japan. Here in the Anime Society, we watch a number of fan subs. So we are being treated to anime that's being played in Japan and maybe other parts of the world, but has not yet come to North America.
And see,
so we're
I
getting
don't know
a
what the
preview.
big problem is, because I'm gonna buy the DVD once it comes out, and people just sit there and they whine and complain. Fan subs are illegal. No, they're not. They're illegal if you show them when they're brought here.
I think that's an area that's kind of a gray area. Because if you look at the copyright laws anyway, it's still you're
infringing.
You're still infringing on the copyright.
Right. But,
because some people may not want to buy the DVD. They figure I already got it on fan sub.
Okay.
Why pay for it?
Take it like this. Okay. Noir. We watched Noir. What was it? Almost 2 years ago. Okay. It was new then, and it just came out, this past year?
Yeah,
now, be it as it may, I still haven't had the cash enough to buy it, but that is on my to-buy list. And will I get rid of the fan subs once I get the thing? Yes, I will. I will, and I'll have, as Guy's my witness, and if you want, somebody can come over and watch me delete all the fan subs off my computer.
But see, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people aren't going to have the heart that you have. So you know that
you
want to support. you want to support anime, and you want to keep it going, and the only way it's going to be supported is by us fans purchasing the stuff. But the thing is that a lot of people aren't going to.
But there is one thing, though. It is a little. What's the word I want to say? It is a little crappy, I guess is the word, that I got to pay $30 for three episodes on a disc.
Yeah, that's regrettable.
Where are you going, man?
Suncoast.
I'm paying. Oh man, maybe it's different because I'm paying like $20 for GT and stuff like that.
Where?
At Suncoast.
Yeah, because GT sucks.
Yeah, well, Z and GT both $20.
Because it's Dragon Ball, dude.
Oh, okay,
I'm telling you.
I thought they had a standard pricing, but I guess not.
Well, they do. It's $30
because he's still a fan of that, and it's still anime. I mean, it's probably not the anime that all out of us.
I say that. I mean.
Oh, you say it with love. Okay.
I say it with love.
Well, that's right. You're sleeping on the couch tonight. Okay. Now.
I always sleep on a couch. Shoot.
Okay, that sounds bad. But anyway, okay, mainstream. When do you know when anime's gone mainstream? They're saying Dragon Ball Z.
When they plaster it over the WB. Any channel that, like, let's see, 9, 43, Channel 5, when you see it on there,
I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Anything anymore.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon, when you see that stuff.
When you're saying a majority of the programming is from Japan, that's when it's mainstream.
Well, no, I'm not even saying that.
Well, because it is.
No,
well, yeah,
shows. But I'm just saying, like, when you see it on primetime TV at, like, 4 p.m., that's when it's mainstream.
Actually, primetime's technically like 7 to 11.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you see it on afternoon television, yes. When you see it on, WVIZ or you see it on Channel 43 or Channel 5, do you agree with me, Ray? Is that when it's mainstreamed?
Yeah, it's starting to come out more because they'll delete certain pieces off to fit it more for a younger crowd. Because I guess over here in the States, we just still got that mentality that anything that's drawn, anything that's animated automatically is for little kids.
Right.
I mean, somehow we got that in our mentality, and we don't realize that if you look at the history of animation, it was really geared for adults.
Look at Bugs Bunny. Let's take
if you
him
look
as
at
an
the
example.
original 30s and 40s of those,
remember his ears? Remember his ears when they started showing the Bugs Bunny picture when it'd come out and it'd say Looney Tunes? Remember what his ears look like? A V for victory. Come on, if that's not pro-war, I don't know what that is.
In fact, a lot of them were against the war. A lot of them pitted Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck against some caricature or some creation that was like a Nazi or
actually I remember
or was from the Imperial Japan.
Bugs versus Hitler.
Yeah, and see, what happened was that as we had family and loved ones out in the war, we were entertaining people in the theater, the movies, the cinema. That's when you took your family out. But really, a lot of the satire, a lot of the jokes, a lot of the political things that were in these animated films in that era were for adults.
Right.
Somehow, later on down the road, perhaps maybe in the 50s and the 60s, they began to use animated type of films
to entertain
the children.
Actually, Disney has always made animation towards a whole family. It's Warner Brothers and Hanna-Barbera up until the 1960s before they even began to focus on children, because they started to realize that Disney was making a booming market of children animation, and realized that, well, you know what we're going to have to do, and especially in the case of the Jetsons episodes from the 60s, they're a little bit more adult-oriented when you go to the Jetsons episodes in the 80s, because they released 2 seasons in the 80s, that they're a little bit more oriented to children. So you notice there's a big difference there. Flintstones in the 60s, you know, it's about a married couple's life. And then in the 80s...
Even if you watch it, it was still more adult-oriented.
Yeah.
The Flintstones had a lot of stuff in those episodes that if you really look at it carefully, it was geared more for adults.
Well, they once called it the animated honeymooners.
The only difference was in the beginning they had them as Ozzie and Harriet with the twin beds and the nightstand, but later on, down the road, you see Fred and Wilma in the same bed.
In the movies that they were created in the late 80s, early 90s, eventually they had grandchildren because, you know, Pebbles and Bam Bammed and produced twins. So
I remember there was a movie on that.
There were actually 3 movies.
They Bammed?
They got married and they had children.
Yeah, there was
a Pebbles with the hair like Bam Bam, but like her style that had his strength.
Well, I couldn't say the
Bam Bam. You could say made whoopee.
Well, this like speaking
Well, they
to
got married and
70-year-olds,
they had a family.
Well, yeah, they made various movies based on the family growing, of course, and
Well, in the 70s, they had the
which
Pebbles
makes
and
me
Bam
laugh
Bam
my
show.
butt off because Miss Slaghoople, who's Wilma's mom, is now great-grandmother. So it's like, wow, it's cool. Okay.
But think about it. Think about it, though.
Because I'm lame, I'm remembering the maiden name of a character on a TV show. Anyway,
When you saw a lot of that, okay, Fred didn't get along with his mother-in-law.
nobody
Okay,
does.
you had the Hat Rock
Nobody
Flintstone,
does, Ray.
the Hat Rock Flintstone feud. You had one episode where they had Bewitched. They had Samantha and Darren in the show. And they actually used their actual voices in there. You had the bug music with the Beatles to drive the Hat Rocks out of the house. Children don't understand any of that stuff. Oh, I got the noisy neighbor that just bothers me. Fred Flintstone a lot of times was just obnoxious. He would snore real loud. He had issues with his boss. His boss would fire him and rehire him again. How would children understand all that?
Well,
They think it's funny.
Yeah, they do, but they don't really know.
But they don't know what's up.
What's
They just
going
think
on?
it's
Okay, for
comedy.
example, when they had Barney go in there and fight the champ for 3 minutes to try to make money, and he got knocked out, and I think it was Wilma that got mad at the guy and went over there and socked it to him and knocked him out because he hit Barney, who was little. You had the Mangler, who was going to hurt Fred Flintstone. Dino was in love with the next door neighbor's dog, and they had a family. And Fred and the neighbor didn't get along, and the neighbor was always bringing Dino over back to the house. Like, leave your mud over here. I mean, children don't understand that. That's more stuff that we can relate to.
and us Flintstone kids.
But at the end, they got along when the next door neighbor's dog had the pups. All of a sudden, it's like that sort of brought them together.
Right.
When the Hat Rocks and the Flintstones were fighting, and Pebbles and the one little boy that was from the Hat Rocks was on that log, and Fred went and put his life on the line and saved them. How children cannot really understand that and comprehend it. That's stuff that we would understand.
Right.
Well, to adapt to children, obviously they came out with Flintstones Kids, the pup named Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they come out with cartoons that they aim more directly at kids, where there's always a lesson. Because I don't remember there actually being a lesson in the Flintstones or the Jetsons. The Flintstones, the lesson in the Jetsons was don't put metal in the microwave. Don't overtune your robot.
Well, a lot of times you learn your lesson was through the whole episode. But like I said, those were, Anthony, I think those were built for us. Even the original Popeyes, when you see the symbolism in them,
Well,
you see a lot of what's
eat your
happening.
greens, come on.
Right. A lot of it was adult oriented. I mean, there was just things in there that. Sure, a lot of it was of the absurd, but a lot of it was during the Depression
Olive
era.
oil was a hoe.
She couldn't decide between Bluto and Popeye.
I had to say that.
It makes me wonder, because there's times you see Popeye's dad with the olive oil, you make you wonder a little bit what's going on in that family.
Papa, I mean, that was the thing. And that isn't that still prevalent to this day, that you have the olive oil syndrome? The girl goes for the bad guy, and all of a sudden the bad guy, to her at that point, he seems like he's the right guy for her. She don't really care for the good guy.
That's me, Ray.
In this case, it's
That's
Popeye.
me.
He's a
You go for
dweeb.
the good
No. Like
then you
I
gotta
sit
come
there,
to the rescue.
I like, I'm nice to a girl, and they go out with these pieces of crap, and I get kicked in the teeth because I'm the nice guy.
Thank God it's in the teeth.
But you know what, though? Eventually you'll find the right girl, because the right girl will marry the right guy.
Right, but it's just like that
Yeah,
always happens.
that really
to me.
works.
But that's another subject.
Yeah.
I apparently have to
Right.
find somebody 15 years younger than me.
That's not an inside joke. I don't know what is.
The best thing about Ray is that in his wedding vows, he said, and no matter how much ridicule I get over this, I'm still going to marry you January. So,
Till death do us part. Ray dies the next day.
Hey, I mean, you guys.
No,
I'm gonna outlive you guys. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna
do it
outlive
out
you
of
guys.
love.
I
I
know.
do
I'm
it
gonna
out of
outlive
love.
both of you, man. That's what I'm gonna do.
But Sandy would agree with
Yeah,
us.
well,
Sandy's doing homework.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, is she?
I think so.
No, but seriously here, how many girls did I go through
Yeah,
when
that's
I was
true.
your age and older?
Jesus,
That were-
our age.
that
Were
were-
there 4?
that were like that. That were with the olive oil syndrome, and I have seen some of them years later.
Is that something you made up? Is that actually a psychological name for it?
No, actually, I believe there is a term for that.
Damn,
and they
well, sure,
refer to olive oil, and sometimes they refer to the Cinderella complex and things.
Yeah, the Cinderella complex.
So there are things. I don't know if I came up with that with olive oil, but part of the thing why I say that is because every episode was in love with Bluto. Somehow Bluto was doing something that she thought was so off the hook for her that she had to be with this guy.
You know what was cool though?
And at the end, it won't take long before he gets out of hand, and then here comes Popeye to the rescue. But see, in today's age, that doesn't work because that was in the 30s and all. Because still, people believed in chivalry and things of that sort. But nowadays,
you know what was interesting?
hook.
Back there was a couple of episodes where Bluto was actually a good guy. There was a couple episodes where he actually, he like got along with Popeye and got along with Olive Oil. In like 3 episodes I've only seen out of every Popeye episode I've ever seen. Yeah.
There's always episodes like that, and like Tom and Jerry, there's always a bigger bad guy, so everybody has to like be friends to get to like.
That was possible.
I mean, hell, even video games are like that. But we'll go to commercial, and then we'll get into video games when we come back. So, yay! Okay, now we're going to get into video games. Anime, oh, geez. Pokemon, I guess, would be officially maybe the first one? 1998?
I want to say so, probably. Well, no. Didn't Speed Racer have a video game?
If it did, I don't remember.
That's a good question.
Because, I mean, Pokemon...
They did, but it was only in the arcades.
Okay. See, because... well, let's start with console systems, though.
Okay.
Like, Pokemon came out in 98 for the Game Boy, and since then they've had nearly 20 different games.
That's nuts.
For multiple different systems.
But at that time it was really hot here with the children, so they were going to make
well, heck,
the money.
you even got like people our age playing Pokemon.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're going to make the money.
And not to cut on your age, you have people your age who also like playing Pokemon, right?
There's actually people his age who will play the card games of Pokemon and even Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic.
Right.
And it's
which I think is cool.
Well, I'm
it's creepy too, but I mean, it's cool that the older crowd is into it.
I run a league on weekends, and we're on hiatus because I have finals coming up. But I had one guy come to me just Saturday, goes, "Hey man, if you guys decide to start an adult league, I got a whole bunch of friends who wouldn't mind coming here to play." I'm like, "Wow, really?" You know. And fortunately for this guy, this was our last scheduled day because we've been having problems with thefts, kids stealing our kids' cards. So, I mean, we were considering opening it up to 16 and older, so we're talking more adults coming in. Although the kids will be disappointed, I'm going to make a couple of exceptions for the real good ones. But the ones where we've gotten complaints against, they're not going to be invited back. But, I mean, there are adults, I'm talking some of them of 60 years of age.
60?
60. The one guy talked to me, he said 40, and his dad wants to play.
Wow.
Holy! It's because they have kids who play, and then they get into the game.
Well, there's money in them cards, too. There's money in them cards.
Grandpa play. And then,
yeah, I mean, because you got to learn. I mean, it works both ways. My grandpa had to teach me how to play chess, so I had to beat him eventually. And if he was still alive, I'd have to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But my grandpa was those type of guys where if it wasn't old and dusty, he wasn't going to touch it. So,
Mo, just put a little dust on a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card.
Yeah, it doesn't look very good. Anyways, Pokemon, obviously, Dragon Ball Z in the last couple of years has had like 15 games come out. I mean, faster than Pokemon. Yu Yu Hakusho, Digimon, Inuyasha.
Haxine.
They had 3 come out at once.
Well, not at once. But they were pretty close together. They had Dot Hack Infection, Dot Hack Quarantine.
Yeah, there's 4 of them actually.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. I'm trying to remember the names of them. Dot Hack Mutation, and then I think it's the last one. I don't remember.
Hey, now, my question is, Final Fantasy, is that some... Because, I mean, it looks anime-ish.
It is anime.
It's
been anime ever since Final Fantasy 1 when it came out.
It's like huge.
Yeah, in NES.
I mean, you can buy like number 10 with a hard drive now or something like that.
Well, Final Fantasy 11 is... You buy that with a hard drive, and you have to pay money for it to play on the server.
Yeah, but how big is this hard drive? We're talking what?
It's a 40 gigabyte hard drive.
Wow, that's incredible.
And how much are you buying this for PlayStation?
$100. Because it's $100.
Wow,
because, and
awesome.
I'll tell you why. $50 for the game, $50 for the hard drive, and that's actually a deal because usually something like that would probably run you about $150 to $200.
And it attaches to the port in the back of the game.
Right, where the modem goes, where your network modem goes for PlayStation 2, you take that off, you insert the hard drive, and then put the modem on the back of the hard drive, and it's one big unit.
Wow, that's awesome.
Reminds me of the
And
Sega
now your PlayStation 2 is heavier than.
Now look at it like this though too.
And also, sorry Ray, real quick, what they also incorporated, which is really cool, is that they also put it out on the PC platform, so that the PC gamers can see the PlayStation 2 gamers, and they can play in the same world at the same time.
So actually both.
It's one humongous server that all the gamers can play on. So, like, if I'm playing on a PC at my house, my buddy Justin, who lives in Lakewood, can play. I can meet up with him,
and he'd be playing.
And he'd be playing PlayStation 2. I can meet up with him, and we can go on a quest together on the same server.
Damn.
Isn't that awesome? Mm-hmm. When I heard about that, I was like, wow, that is the greatest idea Microsoft and Sony ever had.
Now, here's the interesting thing. Since most of the real popular games are Japanese to begin with, how many of these are actually like comic books and stuff to begin with? I mean...
What, game-wise?
Yeah, I mean, because eventually... Now, Pokemon...
Punisher?
Well, Punisher...
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but that's American. This is actually
you wanted to do Japanese? Manga-wise, well, let's see. Sailor Moon had mangas, and Sailor Moon's a video game. Mm-hmm. They've had a couple they have like 5 or 6. Samantha, if you ever hear this, please let me know how many Sailor Moon games there are. Because she would know. Let's see. There's been not Van Dread, but Nadesco is an anime video game for Sega Dreamcast. There's been just games you wouldn't know. You got Virtual Fighter, you got Tekken, and Tekken Tag.
Oh boy, I have this girl that just whips my butt in this game.
What about that Shinobi game?
Shinobi, I don't know for
Asian
sure.
Guy was saying.
Shinobi's back.
That's a Nintendo game. I just remember always being.
And also another game that we failed to mention that has been around since 8-bit days is Ninja Gaiden.
Gaiden.
Is it Gaiden? I always called it Gaiden. Okay.
Yeah,
Gaiden.
so did I. Until I learned how to pronounce it. Ninja Gaiden. I was like, yay. Yeah, because I have the hell of a time getting through number 3. Number 1 and 2 ain't too bad. It's just number 3 is a killer. Now the funny thing is, I'm playing on a GameCube, and then when I go back to play in NES, I'm totally lost. I'm like, what the hell? I'm missing buttons. I can't get used to just the 2 buttons there anymore. I'm so used to 10 buttons. I'm down to 2.
Know your roots.
Yeah, I started there. I remember spending 3 days straight with barely any sleep. Chris and I taking turns playing Mario Brothers just to solve the game.
Yeah.
I mean, now I can go through it real fast in about half hour, 45 minutes to get to level 8, no problem. And then I, of course, have to walk through level 8 because there's no warp jumps after that. But, yeah, God, that was difficult. Was Mario Brothers a comic? Because I've seen Mario Brothers as a comic.
I think it probably was. I think they even had a cartoon.
Yeah, it's actually had 2 or 3 cartoons.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I've got that theme song, too,
They actually have Super Mario World.
I have that theme song on my computer.
I wonder how much of that actually came from Japan, because, look, I heard Pac-Man came from Japan. They used to call it Puck-Man.
No, Pac-Man came from Japan as well. One of the newer games that just came out, oh, God, I want to say Wind Waker, maybe.
Link.
No, it was F-Zero. F-Zero came out, the creator of Pac-Man, the creator of Mario, and the creator of Sonic all got together on that.
Oh, F-Zero?
Yeah.
Really? No kidding.
Sega, Namco, and Nintendo all had their labels on it. So
okay.
It was the first 3 platform, or not 3 platform, but 3
corporation.
Yeah, it's just the first time they all got together to make something like that. And I don't know, they're not in this area, but if we had an Alan's Castle, damn big. Okay. Anyways, we would have a machine.
We do have an Aladdin's Castle.
No,
it's at the Midway Mall.
No, they got rid of it a couple years ago. I used to manage it, I should know.
Oh, really? You don't call it Aladdin's Castle anymore?
It's now just their game room. They got rid of Aladdin's. Namco's gone.
Oh.
Namco owns Aladdin's Castle's chain. And basically, if we had one in this area, there would be a machine where if you had a memory card from the GameCube game, you could take it to the arcade machine and load up your vehicles.
Yeah.
And you could, in national standings, you play those games on the arcade, and you can nationally register. And there's also ways of doing it on the internet too, using their console game, but you have to log into a computer to do it. But it's a nifty setup. It's just wow. Pac-Man. started in Japan. It came out on like an Atari, one of the first things. Actually, it was released by Atari, Namco. And it had cartoons, it had comic books. It's still doing video games after 25 years now?
Yeah, now they're a lot harder.
Okay. Now, this topic seems to be slowing down, so we will move on to conventions.
Yay!
Oh, man, that's like in the heart of every anime fan that's out there. I mean, well, of course, anime conventions. There's conventions for all different types of things. And I think conventions are in the heart of anybody who has a fandom of any particular thing. And I've been going to the anime con scene since 1994. I went to the very first Otakon.
Actually, let me stop you there. When did you first get interested in anime?
Well, it's a pretty good story, but just to...
The abridged version.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'll just say it like this. I have seen shows like Speed Racer, and when I was growing up, never knew that was anime. But when I began to see something that I later learned it was from Japan, was a show called StormBlade. It was originally called Space Cruiser Yamato, which was released in the fall of 1979. And later on, where I began to notice there were other shows that had that style. And I go, boy, that kind of looks like somewhat like the characters of Star Blazers. But then later on, in the early 90s, I met a man named Whitaker Davis. And he brought in anime like Riding Bean, Outlanders, a few other stuff like that. And he showed me this stuff, and I was like, wow, well, that's kind of like Star Blazers, but it was a little more advanced because...
Yeah, 20 years difference there.
Well, not even then.
He is close to that because it originally came out in 74.
Oh, did it? Okay.
It was released here in 79. So they were more advanced, but it was like you had a modern day world, or this was in outer space, but it dealt with these different people. And I was like, wow, this stuff is awesome. And so then I knew it from there, being anime, and I'd say that was like around 92. That I began to see it as anime. And then I would go to the rent stores and would rent tapes to watch different ones, and I've seen like Battle Angel and other ones, and I was like, wow.
Okay.
This is off the hook.
Okay, so we're in 1994. Otakon, you said, was the first convention?
I went with Whitaker to the very first anime con. Otakon had one, and it was their very first one in Penn State University in State College. And it was at the Days Inn, and we had like about maybe 200 people who came. Even the small cons now get at least about 400, 500 people. So that was small. That was pretty tiny then.
No, Ikatsu-con had 200 people.
Okay.
But, yeah.
But see, the thing is that it's going to be interesting because now, 2004, 10 years later, I'm going to be going to Baltimore, Maryland, where it all
where it all began. Oh God, that's not an inside joke. I don't know what is.
No, where it begins again.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right. Well, anyway, here's going to be 10 years later. I'm going to be going to this Otakon, and we're probably going to have almost at least about 15,000 or more.
They're projecting 20,000 people.
Okay, 20,000 people from 203 people.
To 20,000.
And one guy is going to be there that was there from the beginning, actually two of them. And it broke my heart that Matt Pison, all these years, have been the music video director, and he's going to be resigning that. Matt Pison was one of the original founders, and every year he ran the music video contest. And this year he's not going to do it, and I really wanted to see him do it. I'm not sure if I'll have a music video for that. I'm going to see if I could, but it's just sad because, but Dwayne Johnson is going to be there. And
The Rock!
Not The Rock. He looks more like Taz's partner, Michael Cole.
Yeah, he does.
But that's his name. And Dwayne and I, we met at the first one.
Otakon.
The second Otakon, I met Steve Bennett. First one, I met Bob DeJesus. And so I'm sure Bob will need it. In fact, Bob was their guest of honor. And now poor Bob, what is he? He's just there in the booth. Yeah, people pay to have him in the cons. And his livelihood is that. He just goes to cons. And that's where he makes his money. And he draws all these little badges for people.
Yeah, they're sweet badges, too.
Oh, they're nice. Bob DeJesus, I got it the first drawing at that Ohio Otakon. I got to find it. But that's been something. I've gone to a number of cons all over the United States. I almost made it to California. and I didn't because my grandmother was hospitalized, and I had to forfeit going to Anime Expo. But had I gone to Expo, I would have gone to the cons in the South, Midwest, the East, Southwest, and all the way to the West Coast. Project A-Con still, to me, I think was the best con, though.
What, so they answered my next question. I was like, which one is your favorite? But apparently you just said it.
Project A-Con 7 probably was the best one I've ever been to. That one, we had a blackout.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that one.
And I wrote some stories. I got to get them on the net, but...
Yeah, when are you done with that book, Ray?
Yeah,
God. I'm done with it. I'm done with it, guy. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
3 years later.
I know. I had 3 more cons to write about, and I guess I just got into a snag. I just couldn't get it done, but I'll work on getting them done. But the thing was, I did write about Project A-Con, and there was several things that happened in that particular convention. Number one, I was later to meet Carol Scarborough through some people, and she was the one who helped me do my comic book. Number two, my friend Jason Metter, I met him for the first time. I bought a painting off him, and we've been friends ever since. And I remember he got mad because these people had this van, and they were playing anime, and it was kind of blocking him from coming out. And he had this pickup truck, and he got so mad at him, he backed out slowly, but he just burnt rubber. And just as we were going to go into this turn, this one taxi, it was like a van, a shuttle bus, comes flying right in. I mean, Jason hit the pedal, I mean the brake, and I mean I was heading for this thing because this truck kind of was sideways this way, and my side was going straight for that thing. I remember the driver and the customer and his passenger was like screaming, and I just, oh my God, I'm going through the windshield, and he stopped with just 1 inch, and all of a sudden guy goes out, he's over here trying to make sure that he had no scratches or none. And then Jason kind of, and everybody was watching him. I mean, it's one of the things that you had about 200 people out there watching the situation. I know he had to feel like he was 1 inch. Then he went and made the turn, and he took off again because now he was even more mad. And this taxi cab driver almost had a head-on collision. He screamed, people got sponges for brains and stuff. It was just almost like a nightmare, but he did take me to a really nice, authentic Japanese restaurant, and all his buddies there from Texas were there. You could eat after that? I bet somebody would be like, oh, God. Well, I kind of figured, this is the only chance I'm going to get to really eat at a restaurant like that.
I've never been to an Asian restaurant.
Awesome.
Every time Christopher says, man, let's go to this Asian restaurant, and it was like, dude, I got no money. He goes like, oh, screw you then.
Well, they are pricey.
Then I'm going home.
Well, there was like about 7 of us that went. I was from Ohio, the only one from Ohio. I remember Big Steve Lynn, he's like, he was the author of Commissioner Orange College, and he goes, a gaijin. Because here I am with all these Texas people, and I'm from Ohio. But it was a very fun con. It was a very, very fan-friendly con. I still, in my heart, I still think, I haven't been to Project A-Con since Project A-Con 8, but it's a very, very good con. And I would love to take the Anime Society down there down the road, but it's just that right now it would be, with the time frame we would need to be able to get out there and the amount of money, we just couldn't come up with the money now.
Do they ever have conventions in Ohio? Or?
Oh, most definitely.
OhioCon, Segoy-Con.
Oh, yeah, that's in Columbus.
Ikasu-Con, right.
See, which I am the security head for.
I wanted to go to the OhioCon one that was in Columbus, but I don't have the money.
No,
I'm poor. I'm a college student. See, because I would be like totally welching off whoever would let me go,
That's why you get a group rate. Get 10 of your buddies. You get to go a little cheaper.
I wouldn't be able to go at all. I have no money, no income. Okay.
It's like $25 right now, dude.
Yeah, I'm poor. See, that's how poor I am. Okay.
Start whoring yourself out to Christopher.
Ew.
No, Chris got to go, and he had a good time. I mean,
Yeah, well, Christopher also didn't pay bills. Okay, anyway, that's it. Okay, now our last question, 60 seconds. Now, if you... Now, keep in mind, you may not know of which ones have been made video games yet, but if there was an anime out there that you want to be made into a video game, which one would you pick? I mean, whatever reason, what features would you have in this game? What would the characters be able to do? What would be the summary of the story? Pick something, but something you would like to see.
Non-hentai?
Yeah, that's
anime
right.
into a video game, what I would like to see.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a good
question.
question.
Maybe name a couple of features or a storyline or something.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I would probably have to say something like Noir. I could see Noir being made into a video game.
You know what, Ray? I thought you would have said Bubblegum Crisis.
But I think they're making a game off of that.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So simply because you had these two girls that were supposed to be pure, but yet they were hired as assassins, and then you would send them on there would be different levels, and they would have to take on these different characters and these different groups of people.
Shoot them in the face.
And then maybe they have like certain weapons that they could use, and then they like
AK-47s in their face.
And then at times, they could get you could set it up in a way that they can get nailed themselves, and they finally have to go to the end where they meet the leader of the Soldats, Athena, and then have her and Chloe go up against these girls. And then you play as Muriel. You play Muriel or you play Kirika, and always keep in mind that the other. Here's how I would have it end. Here you would have your partner turn heel.
Well, no, you don't even do that. You have two different storylines. If you pick Morel, it's one. If you pick Kirika, it's another one.
Right. And it's the other one. And then they turn heel on the other guy. And then that's your ultimate battle. And now you could kill your partner, but I would set it up in a way that you actually render them harmless. You don't want to harm them because really they're your partner. But the character you play, have to at the end get Athena.
Right.
So you got to get past Chloe and this other person, whether it be Muriel or it be Kirika.
Right.
And then. Boy,
that'd be tough. You better have it where their life regenerates for that fight, or you're going to be goofed.
So it's one of those things. I would do it like that.
Okay, German.
Well, it already is a video game, but initially he's really good. But if I were to see an anime video game, I would have to say Captain Tyler.
Oh, wow.
Never heard of that.
I'd have to say Captain Tyler. Because it's almost like, what do you do next? You remember those books, Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of like that. What do you do next, Justy? And then, you throw a can on the guy's head and see what happens. I think that'd be
another good
one.
Will be The Last Exile, with those van ships, and you have to go and take out these big
irresponsible
ships.
Captain Tyler.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
I bet you could make something out of that.
Alrighty. On that note, we'll end the show here. Thank you for listening, and I got nothing. Okay, that's it. We're done. Thank you.